Tense there today. It's been tense there for a while. The tension between the police and the protesters had actually started long before today's shooting.
Atlanta News First investigative reporter Rachel Polanski shows us exactly how we got here. The Atlanta Police Foundation says the concept of a state-of-the-art training center for police, fire, and first responders had always been on a list of priority needs. In 2015, they were tasked with looking into what such a center might look like and what it might cost. Then in April 2021, former Mayor Keisha Lance Bottoms announced a plan to turn the forested land into that public safety training facility that would include a shooting range, a mock village, and a burn building. But opposition came quickly from environmental groups, neighborhood associations, and racial justice groups. But despite public outcry, in September 2021, that's when Atlanta City Council gave the $90 million project the green light. And by January 2022, activists and organizers who had dubbed the project Cop City began protesting at the site, with some even building shelters in trees to prevent the construction. Then in May 2022, that's when 7 protesters, the majority from out of state, were arrested after police accused them of throwing a Molotov cocktail at officers as they tried to remove protesters from the area. And just last month, in December, 5 more people were arrested, this time on domestic terrorism charges, after the Georgia Bureau of Investigation said protesters threw rocks at police cars and attacked EMTs with rocks and bottles. And of course, that brings us to today's shooting of the Georgia State Patrol trooper near the site. Rachel Polanski,
12
Atlanta
is a day
News First.
Spalding County will never forget. Surveys confirm